if it's on. Are you ready? Fucking.
Welcome everybody to JoeyTLive Leafs Talk, Life Talk. I've added that in this episode, episode 3. My parents didn't pay their bell bill yesterday, so things were a little bit rough in the Bolton, Tomaselli, Silvio household. It's kind of hard here living with my mom and dad, I'm not going to lie, coming from downtown for 2 months back home to Bolton. If you've ever watched the show from the 80s, Elf, that's who my mom reminds me of walking around. Google it, you'll have a good laugh. First off, I want to say, right off the bat, rest in peace to Gord Downey from the Tragically Hip, a legend, and that's all I'm going to say, rest in peace. Big, huge win for the Leafs last night, 6-3 over the Detroit Red Wings. Big game last night. They came out firing. You know, Detroit used to come into our barn and slap us around big time back in the day. Those days, I think, are done now. Detroit made the playoffs for like 25 straight years, and now all they're going to see is Eminem and 8 Mile. That's about it. Okay, so I also got my nephew here. He's here. Say hello, Nicholas.
Hello.
Oh, that's a strong hello. He's getting 3.4% of all the profits I'm getting. He's going to buy a couple Lamborghinis when he turns 19.
For sure.
Hey, Sergio, what's going on? Sergio, who's actually the owner of Cult. If you're ever downtown and you're on King Street, all you got to do is scream Cult. You'll get into any club you want. The guy hasn't aged in 17 years. He looks fantastic. Okay, guys, again, the Leafs won 6-3. They are now 6-1 after 7 games. I'm open for questions at all time. I have a little story for you. Actually, once I went to Bloken Forth, which now is called another name. Who knows what it's called? Maybe it's called the same nightclub. I saw Lindstrom. I saw Zetterberg. I was with my buddy Gabe Gallucci. And I saw Lindstrom, and I'm like, hey, you're the best defenseman since Bobby Orr. He's like, how do you know me? I said, well, I know a lot of hockey. And then I said, are you married, Lindstrom? He goes, yeah. I go, not tonight. So what I did is I brought a couple girls over to Lindstrom, ordered shots on Gabe's credit card, and Lindstrom goes to me, how do you know all these girls? I said, well, Lindstrom, while you're making $7 million skating circles around the ice, I'm working the streets. So we both had a good laugh, a good shot. And vodka is my favorite drink. So, oh yeah, sponsor tonight, La Paloma, because all I do is scoop. Okay, guys. Kadri opened the game with a nice wrist shot upstairs. Beautiful goal last night. Kadri's really turned his life around. He went from working the boots to working the corners on the third line. Good for Kadri. God bless him. Okay. Kadri with a big goal. Zach Morris Hyman with the second one off his skate. If all the younger viewers out there, if you don't know who Zach Morris is, get a dictionary and go on Google again. Actually, Machiavelli, I like to call McEnany, whatever his name is, Machiavelli, because we always forget, like, he might be dead. We don't know where he's coming from, but he played last night, and he played one hell of a game. 30-plus saves, Nicholas, is that correct? Nicholas gives me the nod. He's a little camera shy and radio shy right now. Machiavelli
30
played
saves,
a strong
33
game.
shots.
30 saves, 33 shots. Again, people say I say Mateo too much, but Mateo keeps doing what he keeps doing. I'm going to keep talking about Mateo. He did a little toe drag, camel toe drag, whatever you want to call it, snuck it inside. I didn't even know how it went in. He scored. He's got his 6th of the year. I believe he has 10 points now. Connor Brown, again, gets another one. It's hard for Marner to get back to the second line when Connor Brown scored 2 goals in 2 games. Marner's going to get back on it. Don't worry about him. Leafs scored 4 goals and 5 shots. And I was starting to get worried again in the second period when they start coming back a little bit. Detroit, our defense started to fall asleep. But the Leafs ended up winning their 6th game of the season, 6-3. Now they have 12 points in 7 games. Great start to the year. Nicholas, I believe we have some questions.
Yes, we do. Question 1. Seeing as how Komarov touches the puck only twice a game, I would get rid of him and bring up Kapanen, who brings more speed and skill. Your thoughts?
My thoughts on Kapanen, he does look like he was born in the year 1323. He's got that face on him like he hasn't got a Christmas present in about 7 months. But I really believe in the playoffs, Komarov is very valuable. Right now in the regular season, yeah, you could put him on the 4th line. I'd rather have him on the 4th line, put Marner on the 3rd. That's a great question. I think that's coming from Pete the Fina from RDA Insurance. If you smash your car, Pete's the guy to go far. Next question, Nicolai.
Next question regarding Morgan Riley. Morgan Riley is off to a great start. Do you see him developing into true number one in the near future, or do you think his career is going to stay at number 2 or number 3?
Well, with a name like Morgan, he definitely should be the 5th or 6th defenseman. I'm going to have to say that. I really believe at his peak, Morgan Riley is a 3rd or 4th defenseman. If we want to win the cup, he definitely can't be number 1 or 2. Good player, skates fast, lives in Liberty Village. So do I. Well, December 1st, there goes my mom walking by with some tea. And that's the way it is. Actually, a little side note, my dad, since I've been living with him for the last 2 months, asked me where I'm going tonight, and I told him right back in his face, I said, wherever I want. He goes, how about if I kill you? I said, then I can't go out. So a little story about Silvio right there. Good guy, he's actually moose hunting, left. There it is, phone calls coming. I am going out tonight, that's why I'm wearing a dress shirt. Any other questions?
Question from Dominic Perkilo.
Oh.
Do you think Mateo can get 50 and 50?
Oh, Dom Perkilo, I think you're going to open up 50 shops. Dominic actually owns a body shop. I think Dominic's Simplicity Car Care is going to open up 52 shops before Mateo gets 50. I think Mateo will do 50 in about 65, Dom Perkilo. Great question. I think he's capable of it. He skates like Mario Lemieux. He's very slow with the puck. He doesn't even need to skate. And I think he could wear slippers out there and score 60. Good question, Dominic.
Question continuing on defenders. If you could pick up a defender to input into the Leafs lineup anywhere around the league, who would you add?
First of all, when I'm giving you 3.4%, put the microphone closer to your face. And are we recording this? Because I got a lot of people.
Yes, we
are. Okay. Sorry, guys. I almost had a moment. I didn't want to hit my nephew because, you know, you're not, child abuse is really bad these days and we want to keep it low. So great question, but that was actually from Pete Fina from RDA Insurance. Just trying to get more customers tonight with another good question. I think if we were going to pick up a defenseman and I was allowed to pick up one defenseman in the league, I would go with the one-tooth wonder, Drew Doughty. That guy could skate for days. He doesn't even have 2 abs, very little chunky, but you know what? He's the best defender in the league. I'd give up JVR. I'd give up free lineup pass to Wildflower and Laval, and maybe a couple of bottles of Grey Goose just to get Drew Doughty on our team. That's the guy I would go for. Pete Fina, another great question.
A question from Charlie Kulura.
Oh, Charlie. He's on
How long should the
claims
Leafs make Mateo captain?
Well,
Love your show, brother.
Charlie's actually asking that question. Charlie has a crane operation going on. He has about 6 cranes. He's probably right now very windy. He actually saved that girl in Toronto that went up to the crane. He actually brought her down, 1 arm on a rope, 1 arm on her waist. Charlie, what's the question again? Sorry?
How long should the Leafs make Mateo captain?
I'm going to give Mateo next year. I think Babcock wants everyone to work for the C. I'd give it to Austin Matthews next year. Right now, let's just concentrate on getting to the playoffs, go deep into the playoff run, give him the C next year. Good question, Charlie.
Frank Cardamone adding to the Drew Doughty addition. Oh. The only way to get Doughty is to give up Nylander.
Wow, Frank Cardamone's my cousin, so whatever he says is correct. But you know what? I would not give up Nylander, even though Nylander looks like that little boy on that Rudolph Christmas show. I don't know if you guys ever seen it. It's on every Christmas. He looks like a plastic figure, great hair. I would never give up Nylander for Drew Doughty. The way he plays with Austin Matthews is fantastic. I would give up a JVR, Capitam, and even my Italian third cousin Levo. I'll throw him in the mix too. If they bite for it, they bite for it. If they don't, I'm sticking with Nylander. Good question. I think there's another question coming up there, Nicolai. I need you to stay on your toes for your 3.4%.
Question going out of the Leafs from Dominic Perkilo again. Out of all the teams that are tanking, Rangers, Habs, or Minnesota, what team will turn it around first?
Ooh, that's a great question, Dominic. Dominic's on fire. I think Dominic's doing push-ups while he's asking these questions. That's a great question, Dominic. I'm going to have to go with either Montreal or New York Rangers because they possess the top 1-2 goalies in the world right now with Lundqvist and Carey Price. I think Minnesota, the only thing that came out of Minnesota that was any good was Brendan Walsh. That's about it. So I don't think they're going to do much. Shout out to 90210 and Jason Priestley for that great question from Dominic.
Question from Harpreet Singh. Ooh. Are you a believer in advanced analytics or do you rely more on the eye test?
Harpreet, another great question. Worked with him at LA Fitness, knows his hockey, great guy, beautiful eyes actually. You get lost in them sometimes when you talk to him. But I believe the eye test. I don't care how many stick handling statistics. I don't believe in that stuff. If I see a guy trip over someone's skates, get him off the ice. That's the bottom line. I'm going with the eye test. I got 20/20 vision.
Big question concerning the Leafs rebuild from a couple years ago. What do you think of sports experts calling the Leafs the Blackhawks of the East? What are the comparisons?
Oh, that's another great question. That's coming from Mark DeSanti, my V-neck twin from 1999. We both used to have battles. There's cleats and cleavages, and there's pecs and V-necks. That's what they used to call us back in the day. But I think it's a great comparison. And they got Kane, Taves, Sharp. We got Nylander, Marner, and Matthews. They got Crawford. We got Anderson. I think we're pretty even there. The only thing that separates us from them, or actually separates them from us, they got Seabrook and Duncan Keith. But those guys are actually getting a little too old. 34, Duncan Keith. Seabrook's around 32. So I think it's a pretty fair comparison, for sure.
So I did some digging. Here's a stat between Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid.
Where's your shovel? Keep going, Nick. You're doing great.
Austin Matthews now has 46 goals in his first 89 games. The only two players to achieve that has been Alexander Ovechkin and Ilya Kovalchuk. The only two players since Solani and Lindros. Connor McDavid in 132 games, 49 goals. Austin Matthews in 89 games, 46 goals.
Wow, that just proves to me the people at TSN have been ordering too much pizza and they're sleeping on the job. That's all I see there. I see a great stat. When you're up there with Ovi and Kovalchuk, you know you're sniping for real. So that's, I did not know that, Nicholas. Thanks. Your 3.4% is really taking off, Nicholas. Any other questions from my huge fan base?
Frank Cardamone, Kings won't do it. Back on the Doughty.
Back on the Doughty, yeah. You know what, Frank, he does become a free agent next year. Hopefully Lou Lamoriello brings him to the office, locks the door, and says, Doughty, I know you're missing one tooth. If you want to lose all your front teeth, sign for 5. Here's a piece of paper. Do the signing. That's the only way I think we'll probably get Doughty, and Lou Lamoriello could do it.
Big question again from Charlie Kalura from the preseason. What are your thoughts on Lupo failing his physical twice?
I think Lupo is stuck in 2009 and he's never going to get out of it. I think right now he's wearing those Ashton Kutcher hats in LA somewhere, and I think he's done like bacon. That's pretty much what I think of Lupo, and he's probably not in shape because he hasn't played in a year and a half, and he's on the Robidahl Island. Yeah, that's where he is. The Robidahl Island.
Dominic Ferkilo, another good question. How long will the Leafs wait to add a top 4D? ASAP or possible wait for a rental?
I think, Dominic, it's another great question. You know, Dominic, you're one of my best friends from back in the day, so that's a great question. I think they're going to wait to around February, March, see where they are at in the standings, see if they need to add another player, and if they have to slap another defenseman on, they'll definitely do that around that time. I think at 6-1 right now, there are no rush to add a big-time defender. Good question, though, Dominic. Any other questions right now, Nicholas?
Right now, we have had a lot of questions today, but no questions at the moment.
No questions at the moment. Well, I could tell another story about my dad. He's probably killed his 3rd moose, and he's on the loose, Silvio, that's for sure. A lot of people have been telling me the show's been going really good. They can't wait for the more episodes, and I need 4 hours to get my podcast going so you guys could drive it in your traffic on the way to work, in the shower, or mountain climbing, whatever you want to do. That's what's going to happen. There goes my mom again. She's wearing her favorite Hulk Hogan getup. She's her little black tank top. Her hair looks like Richard Simmons, but she's just relaxing. It's her night to relax. Good for Mary. That's for sure. Okay, guys, well, I'm going to have a big night tonight. I'm going to Escobar, and I want to give a shout out to Misha, who's bringing me to the game Monday versus the Los Angeles Kings. Ask for Misha to get in any club. If she doesn't come and out and get you, you're not that important. Thank you, Misha, for the tickets Monday. Thank you.
Oh, Frank Cardamone out of the question.
Oh.
Tough for the Leafs to keep JVR. If you do, you can't keep Marner. I'm not sold on Marner.
Wow, Frank, you just put me in a tough spot. Next to Matthews, I think Marner is my 2nd favorite player. I would get rid of JVR in a heartbeat. And by March, if we could grab any defenseman, he's at the right price for another team looking for a winger at $4 million. By the time March comes around, that salary would be probably around $1 million. And I would never get... I love Marner. Listen, He had about 60 points last year. He's going to turn it around. He has 4 points now, and he hasn't even played good. You put him on a decent line with, say, a Marleau and Kadri, he'll get his 70. Give him some time. Babcock's leading the way. They'll be totally fine. I actually met Marleau at Escobar one night. He's a $140 soaking wet. I thought I was talking to my nephew, not Nicholas, Luke, because he's so small. But, you know, good things come in small packages, just like my mom, little elf, wherever she is right now.
Charlie Kalura, where's Nikki G?
Nikki G right now is actually in one of my favorite episodes that are coming up. It's, well, it can't be favorite. I haven't done it yet. Nikki G's a big Los Angeles Kings fan, so he has to fly 5 hours to go do the parade every time they win a cup. Good for Nikki G's, but he's got a lot of air miles. Shout out to Nikki G. Any other questions, guys? Any other questions? Phone's ringing off the hook tonight, guys. I'm wearing a dress shirt tonight. I feel uncomfortable. Usually I'm in a black or white v-neck. Shout out to Peter Sheet on Valley making these sweet v-necks. He did it right. Left for Valley 6 years ago.
Another question from Dominic per kilo. Is Marner on the fourth line for a wake-up call, or is Babs looking to develop 4 offensive lines?
Oh, he's definitely there for a wake-up call. Not to. If you want to make 4 good lines, you put Marner on the 3rd, you put Komarov on the 4, bring up Kapanen, and just add a Dominic Moore in the middle, and there's your 4 solid lines right there. And don't forget Levo. Levo's a little. He's a goal scorer. He had 6 goals in 13 games. When he's on the ice, he can produce. He's a good old Italian boy.
Also, that line of Bozak, JVR, and Marner, they had the worst plus-minus rating in out of all the 4 lines, so he had to mix it up there.
Oh, that's a really good point. I did not know that. Well, you know, Bozak, I wouldn't call him a two-way player. JVR is more of a loafer, and he always has his mouth guard hanging out of his mouth, so he's got to concentrate. And Marner, again, is just a little patat right now. He's got to put some muscle on. So I could see that. That's why I think the Brown on the second line adds a little grit. And you put Marner on the 3rd line with Marleau and Kadri. That to me is the perfect 3 lines.
Switching sports now. Baseball question from Frank Cardamone.
Oh, wow.
Who has better hair, you or Bryce Harper?
Wow, that's a tough one. I think I'm going to have to go with me. Bryce Harper has a little bit more money in his checking account. So in that case, I'll give it to Bryce Harper then. Well, guys, all I hear is crickets right now. It's been a rough ride for me living in Bolton. Well, the good news is now that I'm back in Bolton, I'm the most famous person. I can't even go to Walmart without getting asked for a picture. All I want is a couple bocconcinis and some avocados, but I can't even walk in there.
Well, switching sports again. What are your thoughts on the Raptors win tonight?
I think the Raptors could win as many games as they want. They're going to lose in the second round like every year. And until LeBron James retires, there's not much we could do there. LeBron James is the king, best player I've seen since Kobe Bryant, and then Michael Jordan. He's right there with those guys. They're a good team. They're going to win their 48 games, 50 games. And then when the playoffs come around, Valanciunas runs like me right now, which is not really good. His kneecaps are broken, and he can't jump. I don't think they have much to go very deep. That's a great question, switching over to basketball. But maybe they could prove me wrong, and I don't wish an injury like Hayward from Boston, that's for sure. But that's the only chance Cleveland will lose if they lose a couple players. The Raptors, it's a great atmosphere to be at, but it's like watching the movie with Bill Murray, Groundhog Day. You know what's going to happen with the Raps.
Raptors tonight shot 39 for 83, 47%. Had a good start. Halfway through the 3rd quarter, they started to break down defensively. Timeout by doing Casey helped that out and came up with a 16-point win, 117-101.
So what was their shooting percentage?
47%.
Not bad. My average in science class. Not bad at all.
Another question by Dominic per kilo. Are we really ready to say Mateo and Lemieux in the same sentence? Isn't that much after 6 games?
You know how much I love C'est Magnifique. If I could switch teams back in the day in 91, 92, and they won back-to-back, Mario was just gliding. That goal he scored against Andy Mogan, a breakaway with Adam Oates and Bork just hanging off him. Mateo plays the same way. Mateo uses the backside of his bum, excuse my language, to direct players away from him. I see that from Crosby, Forsberg, and Lemieux, and Yager. Those are the 4 players that he kind of has a little bit of everything just like them. Good question, Dominic. But C'est Magnifique is the best of all time. That's for sure. Well, guys, it looks like,
When
what
you
time
live
is
into your
it?
life, it's 10:10.
10:10. How many minutes do we got on the podcast here, Nicolene?
20 minutes.
20 minutes, not bad. I got to drive down from Bolton, and hopefully someone drives me back tonight. Can't wait to get back to Liberty Village, where I belong, and where I'm going to stay for the rest of my life. Bolton's a nice place to visit, but as a guy who's single and trying to get ahead in the world, it's tough to walk the streets of Bolton and find the love of your life, as everyone's married with 16 kids. Any other questions before we wrap this up?
Honest question. In your opinion, Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals at the ACC, what do you think the minimum cost to get in the arena? Over, under 10,000?
What seats are you talking about?
We'll say Reds.
Reds, I'm going to say an average ticket for Reds is going to be $5,000 to $7,000 for the 7th game. But I know a lot of people, and I'll probably be there for free, but I'm going to say 5 to 7 G-Newts. For the people out there that don't know what G-Newts means, that's thousands.
Purple.
Purple? Well, if you're sitting in purple, you don't deserve to be in the stadium.
Might as well be outside.
Yeah, if you're sitting in the top row of purple, you might as well bring a parachute. Hope you hit the ice. How about that?
Are you going to get into anybody in your life? Or
Pardon me?
are you going to get into some questions about your life?
You know what? I'm open for anything. This is JT Leafs Talk, JoeyT Leafs Talk, Life Talk.
Episode 3.
It's episode 3. We're here to talk about everything. I'm going to bring up my job. I'm a mortgage agent right now, and the Bank of Canada brought up the stress test for people that put 20% or more down. I need a stress test for my blood right now because it's driving me nuts. I might have to go back to being a Chippendale next year because those rates, it's a lot harder to qualify. Even with 20% down, you're going to be looking at 5% qualifying rate. Who knows where the market's going to be in January? So back to being a Chippendale for your pal and mine, Joey Tomaselli. Any other questions right now?
Oh, another question about the Leafs. Does Anderson have enough to take us deep in the playoffs?
You know what? Anderson reminds me a lot of Chris Osgood, who played on the Detroit Red Wings team. He didn't have to be amazing to win a cup. He just had to let in the least amount of goals in the game. As silly as that sounds, the Leafs win 5-4. At the end of the day, he still gets a W.
Same thing with Matt Murray. The last 2 playoffs, he's not a superstar. Came in as a rookie. Led Pittsburgh to 2 straight playoff Stanley Cup finals.
Nicholas is working for us 4.7%, and I think we should keep you like an essay, 100 words or less, something like that. I haven't done a book report in 19 years when I used to live on Gore Road in Castlemore. Any other questions? I really got to put my dancing shoes on. All right, guys, you know what? Another shout out to Gord Downey. I'm going to wrap this up. Episode 3. It's time for me to hit the streets. I got to get married by the time I hit 40. My mom wants to buy a dress with a matching hat. We used to call her Blossom back in the day because she always had a lot of hats. And if you don't know that joke, Google it. We'll see you tomorrow night. Nick, let's play my theme song one more time because, man, it's fantastical. Put it one more time. I just want to hear it.
Of course. Give me a heads up.
Here it comes, guys. Oh, what?
What happened with my tail?
All right, we out.